How many times you have felt drained, without energy, or in some cases just plain exhausted? Are you getting enough sleep? Do you take a day or do you take vacations days to give your body and mind a proper rest? Are you a new mom who needs to breastfeed but you're forced to work and you're feeling guilty about the fact that you need to choose between your job and your baby? Or perhaps you are a C-suite executive who seems to never sleep and who works 24/7. Maybe you are a student who are in the brink of a panic attack or anxiety attack because the load is just so heavy to carry. If you answer yes to any of these, or you simply realize that you don't even have time to unplug and rest, then this video is for you. I'll be sharing 3 biblical truths that, if applied properly, we will find the sustained rest we so much desire, and we can truly enjoy this path called life. Blessings and welcome. Thank you for joining Yes on Mondays. Today's topic is one that has impacted my life so significantly that I couldn't wait to share it with all of you. My heartfelt desire is that you watch this video to the end. Even if you're too busy or you want to run to do something else, if you can't watch it all now, try to find 10 to 12 minutes to do so when you can, because I know it will change your life and the perspective you have about proper rest. But before we start, please allow me to acknowledge each and every one of you who are watching faithfully every Monday. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And if you are just stopping by, or if someone has shared this video with you, welcome. Please subscribe, like, and press the little bell to receive notifications. There is always something new and fresh for you every single Monday. And remember, when you subscribe and when you like this video, you're supporting other women around the world to be the best versions of themselves as we continue to empower one another. I want to acknowledge a woman who inspired today's episode, because for the past weeks, we've been going over this very subject during our morning prayer meetings, and it has been a major revelation for me and a blessing. Her name is Pastor Clotilde Holka of Unstoppable Prayer Room, who is leading this beautiful and powerful ministry. She has been instrumental for me to bring this subject today, and I give God thanks for her life and wisdom. Thank you, Pastor Clotilde Holka. Thank you for blessing so many women around the world. Well, why is this so important, right? Why is this subject so important? Well, we live in a society right now that reports themselves as generally exhausted, drained, overworked, and unsatisfied. And why is that? Well, because we have forgotten about the biblical principle of rest and have put other things above it. For women in particular, the lack of rest has been proven to increase heart disease and even provoke suicidal thoughts, stress, fear, and the list goes on and on. This, my friends, is a serious matter, but yes, there is a solution for all of that, and that's why we're here. I want to share with you these 3 biblical truths that guide us towards finding the proper rest for our best lives. First, yes, giving our bodies rest is mandatory. Humans are made out of 3 parts: a spirit, mind or soul, and a physical body. God created man and purposely incorporated this into our bodies. We are supposed to get tired and to rest. When we rest, our bodies are getting restored. This is part of God's perfect creation of man. Our cells and body vital functions can be optimal when we get the proper rest. The resting day is as old as it was the creation of the world. Actually, if we go to the word in Genesis 2:1-3, the word says, "Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. By the 7th day, God has finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. Wow, this is really powerful. There are a few key words here that I want you to notice. He blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating. Notice that when God finished his work, he designated a day to rest. He rested for us to follow that as an example, and not because he was tired. God doesn't get tired, right? But he showed us how to behave by his example and by his word, which is our life manual. The word says that the day was the seventh day, known as Sabbath by the Israelites. People from all their beliefs have dedicated days of rest. When the pilgrims came to America seeking freedom to practice their faith, they designated a day of rest. And we continue to see that until today. You know, it is of vital importance that we guard a day to dedicate to the Lord, to our families, to our bodies, which are temples of the Holy Spirit of God. If we go to the word in Isaiah 58, 13, 14, the word reads, "If you keep your feet from breaking the Sabbath and from doing as you please on my holy day, if you call the Sabbath a delight and the Lord's holy day honorable, and if you honor it by not going your own way and not doing as you please or speaking idle words, then you will find your joy in the Lord, and I will cause you to ride in triumph on the heights of the land." Notice here that God is saying, if you keep my holy day, the rest in me, then I am going to bless you. Then I am going to be with you. Then I'm going to support you in a way that it can be very, very meaningful to us. That, my friends, is super powerful. If we look at Matthew 12:8, "For the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath." This is Jesus talking to the religious leaders of his time here on earth. He declared he is the Lord of Sabbath. In this case, literally, it was Sabbath. It's this rest day. For many people can be Saturday, for many people can be Sunday, for others nowadays is the day that they are not working. The importance is to dedicate this time to the Lord, to our family, to our rest, which is sacred. As we can see, the rest day is as important today as it was in the past. Actually, I dare to say that today is even more important than ever before. Yes, unplugging and resting takes discipline. Resting wisely is a discipline that we must learn, the same way that we learn how to work. That for me was a revelation. We dedicate so many hours of our lives to prepare ourselves in school, to then practice those skills at work, outside, or at home, yet we don't properly train ourselves about resting. The reality is that we were meant to be on 24/7. Today, more than ever, our fast-paced lifestyle is making it even more difficult to unplug and rest, to the point that even little children are tired, they're anxious, they're even depressed by that constant stimulation, right? We're constantly on the screen, at work, at school, at social gatherings, or even when we're not supposed to be. It is like a vicious cycle that even though we recognize it as such, it has become as almost impossible to break for some. And family members are constantly complaining and fighting over the overuse of devices, even at a dinner table. We are all guilty of doing so, consciously or unconsciously. This is today's disease. As good as technology can be, this is a major downside. We can go into this rabbit hole, and by the time we realize it, we have wasted important hours of rest. Apart from technology, there are so many things competing with our rest. It's work, our pack agendas, our commitments, worries about the future, well, you name it. There are way too many things taking the place of our proper rest in God. And this is the key we must learn, how to rest in Him. How do we rest in God? Notice that I said, rest in God. Why? Because we are in His presence. And when we are in His presence, when we purposely dedicate this time to have fellowship with Him, then we enter into His proper rest for us. When we ignore it or we disobey this principle, we're literally breaking what God asked us to keep. Therefore, the physical and mental consequences that later we want to fix with pills and other things are more damaging to us. One of the biggest issues we face today is that we as women believe we must do it all on our own strength. We forget we have a living and loving God who is here with us. We must trust that wherever we go, despite the circumstances we're living in, God is a loving God who has our fronts and has our backs. Yes, physical and mental rest is possible. If we weren't designed to rest, we will never get tired, right? So God built that into human beings precisely to indicate when it is time to stop and rest. Physical rest goes beyond sleep and relaxing. It also implies that we enjoy our surroundings, the beautiful world that was created for us, nature in its splendor, but also our internal bodies, such as our digestive system. We need to rest. That's why giving our body rest from food that are unhealthy for us is also part of resting in Him. We can be physically inactive but overloaded mentally. Therefore, we're not resting. We must learn how to rest, to perceive the soft whisper of God who is in full control. As a matter of fact, there are times that we won't even be able to perceive God until we rest. The Word of God says in Matthew 6:34, "Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." I am not saying don't plan or live a life carelessly without planning for your future or don't work. That's not what I'm saying, no. What I'm saying is that in the midst of it all, we must purposely dedicate a proper time for our spiritual, our mental, and our physical rest. Nowadays, people in general seem to be in a constant state of stress, and we have a world that is living tired. Being busy has become the norm. For many, it is even a sign of the status quo. What was once normal and basic, like sleeping, has become a luxury. To the point there are clinics that have been created for people to simply find a moment to sleep and to try to relax if they are even able to achieve it. Based on clinical studies and research, over 51% of the global population is sleep deprived. That's alarming. But what is more alarming is the trend we see due to the cost of living, which has forced families to work even more. Working moms and stay-at-home moms having to sacrifice precious time to try to fend for themselves and their families. Sometimes people work for other people who are stressed or they're carrying a lot of problems and they don't learn how to rest. And in many occasions, those supervisors, those bosses, you name it, they want to pass that burden or anxiety to their employees, whether they do it consciously or unconsciously. Sometimes they don't want to do it, but they just carry it. We should be aware of those situations. And even if you find yourself living that, you need to think about how to properly manage that situation to avoid getting depressed or overly tired yourself. So we must protect our rest. Mental rest includes leaving the past in the past. We shouldn't be leaving the past here in the future. When we carry burdens and unforgiveness, the load will become so heavy that we won't be able to rest. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, there are so many scriptures that tell us about proper rest. How can we rest? And it was hard to distill all of them and condense for this video, but I am going to leave some for you to look at it, to really read it, to embrace it, and start applying those to your life. A stressed, overworked, anxious person can't think clearly. It is easily deceived. That's why the word in 1 Peter 5:8 tells us to be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. And as usual, I want to encourage you to answer these 3 questions to help you find proper rest based on the 3 key points we just discussed. Are you keeping a day of the week to properly seek God's face and rest in Him? Are you dedicating all the time you wish to yourself, your family, and loved ones? Are you finding yourself able to disconnect from your devices regularly? If you answer no to any of these questions or are unsure you're doing enough of any of those, then it is time to make a decision to purposely dedicate a day of rest. First, to enter in God's presence and rest, and then to truly care for your well-being and the well-being of your loved ones. Life is certainly short. Let's start embracing it as such, with a sense of joy and wonder that can only be achieved when we find the proper rest. Well, that's it for today. I hope you found this video helpful. And truth to be told, we could spend hours going over this topic. But once again, thank you for watching, and please do not forget to subscribe, to like, and to hit the little bell to receive notifications. And please share with your friends, with your family, your network, because we are living in a society that needs to know this powerful truth. Remember, the main objective of the day of rest is to honor God with our own lives. And then, and only then, we can find the sustainable rest. So let's embrace it.
Jesus is God.